Now we want to look at what is the Federal Reserve. And what roles does it fill? The Federal Reserve Bank which is sometimes referred to as the Fed, is the central bank. Meaning that as the Federal Reserve, what it does is it coordinates every other bank. It regulates every other bank, and it basically engages in the monetary policy for the entire country. What this means is that the Fed, the most important thing that it does is that it engages in what's called monetary policy. And what monetary policy means is that you're changing the money supply to change the economy. And to the extent that you think that it can do that, then obviously, to the extent that you think the Federal Reserve is effective at changing the economy, then you believe in the power of the Federal Reserve. Other roles for the Fed include that it is the lender of last resort, meaning if banks really need money, they can always borrow from the Federal Reserve. What they also do is they prevent panics in the economy, meaning if everyone starts to line up to get their cash, what they'll do is they'll say, dude, don't worry, everyone will make sure that everyone gets all their money. And so by preventing panics, it then tries to encourage stability in the economy. And it also regulates the banks. And though this one may sound a little bit dated, it does process checks that are written. So it operates, it runs that system. So these are the roles that the Federal Reserve plays. Now, take very careful note that in listing these things, I never said that the Federal Reserve is actually printing the cash. That's actually part of the federal government. The Federal Reserve Bank is not part of the federal government. It's actually independent of the federal government. And that's actually very important for economists because we don't want typically politicians or the government to be changing the money supply. Because if they started doing that, then the problem that we would face is that they would change the economy just to get a certain result. We don't typically want that to happen, and so we typically want the central bank to be independent. Now, the way that this system is then organized is that there's a Federal Reserve chair who basically oversees all of the districts. And across the U.S., there are 12 districts. And we are in District 12. It makes me sound like this is the Hunger Games. We are District 12. If you look it up on the web and you look for District 12 of the Federal Reserve Banking System, you can see that we actually cover a very wide geographical region. We go all the way up to Alaska and as far east as, I think, Montana, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very, very wide, I'm just typing it in right now. So yeah, District 12, yeah, it goes all the way out to the, through Idaho, so basically just touching Montana, all of Utah, all of Arizona, Alaska, and Hawaii. So that's all of District 12. And if you look at the map, you can see that District 1, District 2, 3, they're very small, because what happened was is that the map was drawn in 1913. When that was drawn, the U.S. looked very different in terms of where the central part of the economy was. So as a result, if we had to redraw the map again, it would look quite different. Now, we want to be able to talk a little bit then about what the bank does in terms of monetary policy. What is it doing of these roles that it serves? What's the most important thing that it does? And I'm going to argue to you that the most important thing is going to be this first role. So that's going to be our setup then for videos 9 and 10, is the setup to what is monetary policy.